Hey y'all, Coach in the Fight here, talking about the dedication of the third temple. Now I've been studying this for a while, trying to put this class together, and I had lined up verse after verse going into 2 Kings, and Jeremiah, and everywhere else all over the Bible, trying to show you how the third temple is going to be constructed in 2020 or maybe 2021. But you know what? I decided not to reinvent the wheel. We're just going to go with what's understood. We're going to go with what everybody agrees upon. And what I'm talking about is the 70 years of captivity and how it's common knowledge or historical facts or however you want to say it. This is what the other people came up with, is that the captivity started in 606 and lasted all the way up to 536. Talking about the 70 years of captivity over there when Nebuchadnezzar went into Jerusalem and took all of the sacrificial material and then came back and took all of the people and took all of that into Babylon. All right, so I want to go in and just do a quick calculation that shows that this adds up to 2020. All right, so real quickly, let's just come over here and do it, because I know people like short videos. I know I do. I like just getting right to the point. I don't like, spending a whole lot of time. It shouldn't take an hour to explain something. You know what I mean? So let's just come over here right quick and let's pull out a handy dandy little calculator over here and let's put in 606 BC. We have to put in negative 606 BC. All right. Now there is one verse I need to go to. Can't have a Bible class without having at least one Bible verse. So I'm going to jump over here to the book of Daniel. Looking at Daniel chapter 12, verse 11, and it tells us when the second temple is actually going to be built. In verse 11 says, "And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days." Okay, so now the daily sacrifice, we know that it was taken away. I know I'm going to have to put up some more of these verses, but the daily sacrifice was taken away when Nebuchadnezzar went into Jerusalem and sacked Jerusalem and took all of those sacrificial materials back into Babylon. But like we said, that's commonly understood to be the year 606. So we're going to come in and put this number in directly and see what comes up. All right? What does it say there? 1,290 days. Okay, so if we come in here to our handy dandy calculator and we're going to add 1,290 days, let's see what year we get. We get the year 684, but hold up. Remember that there was no year zero. The Messiah was not born in year zero. There was no such thing as year zero. He was born in year 1. So we have to add one more year to it, and we get 605. And you say, well, what happened in the year 605? That's the year that the Dome of the Rock was built on the Temple Mount. Now, some of you know what the Dome of the Rock is. That's that Muslim temple over there that's now sitting where Solomon's temple once sit. One is sitting now where the Messiah walked through and said that this building will be torn down, and they thought he was talking about the second temple. Yeah, they built a whole nother temple to, some say, a whole nother God right there on that temple site. They call it the Dome of the Rock. They started building that thing in the year 685 AD. Okay? Now, let's jump back over there to Daniel. Like I said, we're going to make this quick. Now, that what it's saying in verse 11 is saying from the time that the daily sacrifice was taken away, and I should be posting you up another verse somewhere, how Nebuchadnezzar went in and took all the sacrificial materials out. That's what they're talking about, the daily sacrifice, because they couldn't make the sacrifice without the sacrificial material. All of these gold and silver and brass and all of these different brazen altars and all kinds of stuff they had going on. Nebuchadnezzar took all of that stuff back into Babylon, put it in his treasure house along with his gods. That happened in 606 BC. What Daniel is telling us is from the time that happens until the abomination that maketh desolate set up will be 1,290 days. The abomination that maketh desolate, that's talking about the Dome of the Rock and how millions of people were killed during that time when they set that thing up. And like we said, they call it that. They said that it is to another god. Well, that would make it an abomination, wouldn't it? When they set up a temple to a whole nother god on top of the Temple Mount. But anyway, let's come down here to verse 12, okay? Because we done got up to 685. But now right here, we already understand that he's talking about the Temple Mount and what's going on the Temple Mount. So you come down to verse 12 of chapter 12 of the book of Daniel. And it says, blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. That's 1,335 days. So now we're talking about the Temple Mount here. And he says, blessed is he who waits for this day. Blessed is he who waits for that day, which to me is saying that something is going to happen on that day. Particularly, maybe you're going to get a temple put back on that day. So let's come in and add 1,335 days and see what we get. We get the year 2020, being the day of the third temple. Now, I know there's some wise people that are watching this video and they like, hey, the third temple is not going to be built with a brick and mortar temple. Yeah, I know that. I know that it's going to be a spiritual temple built on the hearts of mind of the Father's people. I do know that. But the rest of the world doesn't. There's a whole lot of people that's fighting for that real estate over in Jerusalem, hoping to build that brick and mortar temple on that site. They're already got it under construction. You can get on the internet and look at models of how they're built this thing. They are already doing mock sacrifices of whole cows and such ready for this temple. And you say, well, why is that important? Okay, for those of you guys who follow my channel, you know I'm strictly a Bible channel over here. We teach scripture, all scripture, apocryphal scripture, King James scripture. We teach even the third testament of the Bible, which a whole lot of you guys ain't even heard of, but you can find a link to it down there in our description. But I want to show you this over here coming from I Pet Goat. Now, you guys probably seen this video. If you haven't, you need to check out this video. This is some serious stuff going over here in this I Pet Goat video. But there's something I want to show you guys in particular about this I Pet Goat and how it talks about the scenarios leading up to the third temple. Like I said, there's people who think this is going to be a brick and mortar temple, and they're wondering why it is that, or how it is that we're going to build a whole temple right on top of the Dome of the Rock. Okay, well, now I'm right here in, like I said, this is I Pet Goat. You can see the title of it. Go and search for this little video on there. It's about 7 minutes long. I'm in here at about 3 minutes, and I'm looking into the eyes of this egghead dude that's being portrayed here on the screen. Now, I understand this guy on the screen is this egghead dude. This is kind of a genuine thought, but I believe this is us. This is representing us, humanity, and how we're tied to materialism and tied to our finances and tied to the world markets and all of this stuff, being harassed by this monetary kind of figure you saw a few seconds ago. But now, look right here in the eyes of this thing, and I want to slow it down so you can see exactly what it says in his eyes. Okay, see right there, it says markets plunge. And then right after that, it says war right there in his eyes over there. Now, you say, why is this important? Watch what happens next. I'm going to jump back up to normal speed and watch what happens next. Boom. You got a destruction of the Dome of the Rock by what looks like American B bombers. I can't remember if it's the B-2 or which B bombers. There's all those stealth bombers. The Dome of the Rock is destroyed by those stealth bombers. Let me show you again. All right, so you got the markets plunge, war coverage, and now you got the bombers going across the sky, destroying the Dome of the Rock. Now, you say, well, is that significant? 2020, could it happen? I believe I got this website still pulled up today that I was looking at over here. Let me jump over here and see. We come over here and we look at the Dow Index, the DJI, the Dow Industrial Index, and what do we see? Our stock market has been in a free fall for the last 5 days. Now, I used to dabble in the stock market when I was back there in college. I used to pay a lot of attention to that stuff back there when I was in engineering school. I was no expert by any means, but I came up with one good rule that I've been going by ever since. And that's if the stock market goes up 3 days in a row, you should be investing. If it goes down 3 days in a row, you should be pulling your stuff out. And this stuff has been going down for 5 days. The first time it took $1,000 hit. The next day was like an $800 hit. And then it was a $100 hit. And now this down is down again. This is what it looks like for the month. This is what it looks like for 6 months. Like the whole thing was going up right here and then it falls off the cliff. It kind of like reminds me of that Price is Right thing where you had the little guy that was walking up the ladder. And if you guessed too high of a price, he was going to fall off. Well, this is a lot of individuals right here. Their stocks are falling off. They call those guys pigs. They say that the bulls make money. The bears make money. The pigs are getting slaughtered right there. That's the pigs getting slaughtered right there. Now, this is for the people watching this video after 2020. They're like, hey, it's 2021. Or 2020 is almost over with. Why hasn't anything occurred? First of all, I'll say that you might be looking in the wrong place. But secondly, and here's the embarrassing part, I haven't quite worked this all out. Like I said, I've studied this for years, but I haven't put out anything on it because there's additional element that I can't make line up. I don't really understand. And that's when you come over here and you look at Revelations chapter 12 and you start talking about the Revelations 12 sign in the sky, which of course happened back there in the fall of 2017. You jump down here to verse 6, right after the Revelations 12 sign in the sky. Verse 6 talks about a woman fled into the wilderness where she has a place prepared of God that she should feed her there 1,260 days. Now, this right here, to me, is talking about or is similar to or is related to the third temple in some way, where you have this woman who represents the church is going off into the wilderness where she stays there for 3.5 years. Well, we know the Revelations 12 sign happened in 2017. So if you add 3.5 years, you don't get spring of 2020. You get spring of 2021. So that's why I got in the title, both 2020 and 2021. No, I'm not going to change it. So if you watch, before you push send on that comment talking about, hey, it's 2021 already, I hope you made it this far in the video to let you know that, it's either one. I can't pin it down for sure exactly which one it is. I wanted to get this video out early in 2020 just in case it does happen in the spring of 2020. But I'm going to leave it up just in case it happens in the year 2021. All right, so I'm going to close it out there. If you have any more questions, leave them down below. And shalom.